a world where the veil between the living and the dead is thin, almost imperceptible. A world where unseen hands might unplug your TV in the dead of night, or a child's faint laughter echoes from an empty corner. What if you stepped into an ancient castle only for the lights to die around you? Or a glass on a table began to glide, answering questions on its own? What if, through the lens of your camera, transparent figures from another era materialized clear as day? Or you smelled the lingering scent of pipe tobacco from a ghost? These aren't just stories. These are my encounters. And tonight, I'm sharing the chilling experiences that convinced me some souls linger long after their bodies are gone. This is a journey into the places where the past refuses to stay buried and where the spectral residents still walk among us. For years, I was a curious observer of the paranormal, a skeptic with an open mind. But a series of unexpected events spread across different locations and different times in my life changed everything. These weren't fleeting glimpses or tricks of the light. They were profound, undeniable experiences that left an indelible mark on my perception of reality. Join me as I recount the moments when the unseen became undeniably real. My first true encounter happened about 2 years ago during a family vacation in Waikiki. We were staying at the Royal Hawaiian, a beautiful old hotel. The first few days were perfectly normal, sun-drenched and peaceful. But then, on the fourth night, things shifted. I was lying in bed, watching TV late, when suddenly the screen just went black. I thought, power outage, but my bedside lamp worked fine. Then I saw it. The TV had been completely unplugged. Now that's odd, right? I plugged it back in, decided to just go to sleep. My room had an adjoining door to my grandmother's room, but no one had come in or out. As I drifted off, I felt a distinct tug on my covers. I remember thinking, oh, my mom must be back from seeing her friend. But then I realized I hadn't heard the door open at all. And then I heard it. Small laughter, like a child's, right there in the room with me. I opened my eyes, and in the corner, near my bed, was a little boy. He was wearing a sailor suit, and he was smiling. I was startled, absolutely. But I didn't feel any threat from him. He just disappeared a few seconds later. That wasn't the last of it at the Coral. 2 days after the sailor boy, I was walking back to my room after a long day of hiking, and I saw a little girl in the hall. She vanished almost as soon as I registered her. A trick of the light? Maybe. But my gut, my instinct, told me she was a spirit. Then, 3 days after that, came the photographic evidence. I was taking pictures of the hotel grounds, just beautiful shots. But when I reviewed them later, 2 stood out. In one picture of the gardens, a distinct image of a Hawaiian woman in a red dress appeared, as if she were walking. And in another, a young woman sat in a chair, looking distant and incredibly sad. After that, no more sightings, but a constant curious presence. I believe these spirits are just revisiting happy times. They weren't threatening, just there. My fascination with ghosts only deepened after those experiences, leading me to seek out more. My next major encounter was during a ghost tour at Clitheroe Castle. I'd always been fascinated by the paranormal, but I went into this tour with a healthy dose of skepticism. It was a Saturday evening, starting at 8:30 p.m. and running until 2 a.m. A long night. We were deep into the castle, exploring rooms and hearing about its history and past encounters. We gathered in the old kitchen area, about 20 of us. The castle was locked up tight, no one else inside. And then it happened. The lights in the room suddenly went off. We were all huddled together in the middle, nowhere near any switches. After about 3 or 4 seconds, they flickered back on. We could see light filtering. Seek out ghosts. When I was about 12 or 13, newly armed with my first camera phone, my best friend Sophie and I, inspired by shows like Most Haunted, convinced her mom to take us on a ghost hunting tour at Bodelwyddan Castle in North Wales. We couldn't do the overnight hunt, but we were buzzing with excitement. I was determined to catch something. My phone was my weapon against the unknown. The first part of the tour was historical. But as we entered the first hallway, I just felt off, like something was watching me. I was at the back of the group, and instinctively, I spun around, took a picture with my phone, resolving not to look until later. The eerie feeling dissipated for a while. We were having fun, listening to stories of those who had passed on the premises. In what used to be the children's nursery, we heard about a girl who drowned in a nearby pond. The tour guides then brought out equipment, like dowsing rods, that could pinpoint a presence. I was the last to try. No one else had gotten a result, but as soon as I held them, the wires went crazy, crossing into an X right in front of me. I was astonished, freaking out. Had I found something? A ghost? Activity died down again, but just before the tour ended, they took us in small groups into the basement for seances. Sophie, her mom, another man, and the 2 guides. I don't remember much of that night, but this part is vivid. The glass on the table, our fingertips lightly on it, started moving, answering questions. It was the little girl who drowned. Then, the man in our group asked,
"Can you tell us where you are in the room?"
I was pressed against the wall, feeling claustrophobic, and then the glass moved to indicate that this presence was right beside me. I was absolutely terrified, almost crying, frozen to the spot. The girl even said she'd been following Sophie and me throughout the tour. I fled that room as fast as I could. I couldn't comprehend any of it. But then I remembered my phone. At the end, when the guides asked if anyone had evidence, I checked my gallery. The last picture from that first hallway. And there it was, clear as day. 2 transparent figures, A boy and a girl, presumably Victorian workers, standing there. No one was behind me when I took that picture. I just sensed something. The strangest part, they were completely transparent. Yet every facial feature was clear. Everyone I showed it to saw the same thing. I wish I still had that phone. I swear, that picture was 100% real. Most recently, after closing my business, I started working for a couple who own a beautiful B&B in Monticello, Florida, the Daffodale house estate. I'd met them before, and they seemed wonderful. What I didn't know was that I was walking into a truly haunted bed and breakfast. I heard the ghost stories, of course, when I arrived, and I was skeptical. Took it all with a grain of salt. But soon, I had my own encounters. My first was one evening downstairs. I walked into the dining room from the kitchen and saw who I thought was Kathy, the co-owner. Her back was to me, facing the fireplace. I started talking to her, but she didn't turn or reply. The air in the room felt electric. I turned to look behind me, and there was Kathy at her computer in the library, looking at me with total bewilderment, wondering who I was talking to. When I looked back, the figure by the fireplace was gone. Later that week, it happened again. I saw what I thought was Kathy walking around the side of the house. I walked to talk to her, but she picked up her pace, heading to the front wraparound porch. I sped up too, calling out, "Kathy!" But she was already on the porch and around the bend. When I got to the front door, it was locked. Confused, I went around to the back door, only to find Kathy still at her computer, having never left the house. A series of these events started happening. Lights turning on and off, my phone battery inexplicably dying shortly after arriving. Strange sounds and even distinct smells. One night, working outdoors, my dog sat up, head tilted as if seeing something I couldn't. Then, she whimpered and dropped to the ground in a submissive position. That was my cue to leave. Another day, cleaning upstairs by the old, inoperable elevator, I smelled pipe tobacco. I thought it was Scott, Kathy's husband, but I'd never seen him smoke. The smell kept reappearing in that exact spot. I later learned an old woman used to smoke there, deliberately, so the baby in the house wouldn't breathe the smoke. It's her, I'm sure of it. Recently, I was invited to stay at the B&B for a project, and for 2 weeks straight, every single night, I've been woken up by something at precisely 2:11 a.m. There are honestly too many stories to list. These experiences have profoundly reshaped my understanding of the world. They've moved me beyond mere curiosity into a firm belief that there's more to existence than what we can see or touch. Whether it's the gentle spirits of a Hawaiian hotel, the startling presence in an ancient castle, or the persistent residence of a charming B&B, one thing is clear. Some stories are etched not just in history, but in the very fabric of a place. And some souls, it seems, are still serving their time. Or perhaps simply enjoying their eternal stay. If my stories resonated with you, if they sent shivers down your spine, please like this video and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into the mysterious. And I'm genuinely curious. Have you ever experienced an unexplained phenomenon? Or perhaps heard a local ghost story that truly left you sleepless? Have you encountered something you simply couldn't explain? Please Share your own encounters or local legends in the comments below. Your stories are important, and I'd love to hear them. Until next time, stay curious and keep an eye on those shadows.